Hi
Hi
guys.
guys.
Well, I'm Ally and I've got my sister Sarah with me.
Hi, Sarah here.
Yeah, and so Sarah actually lives up in Featherston, is that right? Featherston,
Yeah, in the
Wairarapa, and
Wellington area.
yeah, and I'm coming here from the Canterbury area, and we're sisters. There's about 6 years between us. Sarah's my big sister, and I'm the baby of the family. And Sarah started her Pilates journey before me. I think Pilates has been something huge in both our lives. So we see ourselves
Actually,
as
you know what? I think that our Pilates journey actually started at the same time. I remember going to a Pilates session, a Pilates class with both you and Mum.
at the gym in Nelson.
Yeah, like way
And it was
back.
like a little Canadian lady, a little American lady.
Yeah, it was so long ago.
And she had like the hair like this and the boobs like this. Yeah, I
can't remember what she looked like.
Oh, I can remember. She was really nice to me, and I would have been about 12.
It was a positive experience. How old?
Yeah.
You would have been 13, and
I would have been about 12 or 13.
Yeah, and I think I might have been in my first year of uni, and I'd come home.
Yeah,
and we'd gone, and you and Mum had been. So maybe you even started before me. But yeah, I've been an instructor longer. So I did my training when I was still at university. I actually trained with physiotherapists doing clinical Pilates. And that was, so I'm like 40 now. so that's 20 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, and yeah, I'm 34. So that was 20 years ago that we started.
Oh yeah, it'll be the same time. So both Ally and I have been, in this area for 2 decades. And,
but let's admit that you are, let's blow your trumpet here, you are very highly qualified in like every Pilates apparatus. You've been in this professionally and studying this for a really long time, though, haven't you?
Yeah, it's the body and humans are my passion. I'm so in awe of humans, and fascinated about why we are the way we are, and how can we change it to, if there's any things there that we can change, how can we change those to better support us to be more of who we want to be?
Yeah, love that. And I guess for me,
and Ally,
I just love exercising. I think for me, I'm
exercising.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I think that our journeys have taken us to like different areas. I was very much in the physical realm, and Ally went, it was for the same reason. So I think that you've always been interested in people and, how to support people. We're both very passionate about, our loved ones in our life, and anyone really basically in our orbits. We love people. We were brought up in a family that, supported and fostered the love and care and interest in others. And Ally, you've been into the body as well, but where your area of expertise, you went into the spiritual realm. And, I'd love to talk more about this in another podcast because Ally and I have very different belief systems.
But then we're very aligned.
We're very alike. We've learned to... We're very different, but we've learned to both find a lot of common threads between.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though our belief systems are quite different, they're very much built on the same.
It's never been an issue for us, I think, and that's what I love about our relationship and what I love about friendships is that you don't have to agree to disagree. You can actually have a relationship and have different beliefs, but actually be on the same page about things. And I think that's where you can have that love and respect for each other.
Sorry, can you hear my ducks in the background?
I can hear your ducks in the background. And I think for you, and what I can see in your life, I've seen your life really flourish over the last couple of years, and you've seen my life take a total turnaround. I was a very rebellious, hard teenager, let me say. I was
very good at hiding mine, that's all.
Yeah, I learned things a very difficult way. And I had a drastic encounter at 21 with Jesus, and my life was turned around. And I've always been into people. And I think for me, that's where exercise, I think I've always loved the connection I've found in exercise with other people that are passionate about it too. Like, I was very into a lot of sport when I was in my teen years. Then I got heavily involved in the gym scene. And I'd say that my main pull card for that, yes, it was to get fit, but I actually wanted the community and the people. I was really wanting those connections with people. And that's why I think it's really beautiful what my sister and I, because I've actually been working out from home for, I think it's 5 years now, which I actually love working out from home because I feel a lot, I'm not comparing myself to other people. I found the gym culture for me, I'm not bagging the gym culture at all. I just felt for me, I very much compared myself to other people. I probably pushed myself too far because everyone's like, go heavier, do this. Yeah. And my form was really thrown out. I actually my body was aching and it wasn't fun. And also I felt like they were going in the morning and some of them were doing evenings. They're like, come to the night session too. I'm like, okay. And that's not healthy. That's taking me away from my family. So I found that I think we've spoken this on another podcast where I actually hit the wall with my thyroid and I had to stop it all. And I actually never went back. And that's actually when I went and trained in Pilates. And I love it. But we want to build here, my sister and I have been talking about it. We want to build this online community of support where you feel like you're bonded, like we can actually bond together, that you can grow it here, not just in your physical sense, but also in your spiritual, your mental. We want people to flourish in life and feel connected and feel like they belong.
And emotional sense too. And very much so healing. And this is our path as well, like as sisters, growing up, as much as we had beautiful support and love in our life, there's always been a lot of comparison between us, like within our families. And that is not, it wasn't from, and it was from a place of love. It's always been that way. But, there's been a lot of healing that we both have had to do through our own relationship to move through that. But we've also witnessed in each other and we've journeyed with each other these past couple of years about, healing that wound.
Yeah, we're not in competition with each other, are we? We're not in competition.
With other friends. Yeah. So, it's been a real awakening where I thought, once upon a time I had, and I did have close friendships, but they were close to an extent and I didn't realize how much I was shutting myself off from those female connections. And this platform here is like navigating that. So we're here, we're going to move our bodies, we're going to use moving our bodies as
very vulnerable.
As a metaphor for other areas of our life, but also using moving our bodies as a way to cultivate a sense of support, a togetherness in ourselves, but also a togetherness with our sisters. Where, biological or just because we're human, we're sisters and, we're looking, this is quite a huge topic, but, we just feel like it's very important at this point in time when a lot of us are separated from the access of being together and having those, as you said, those group interactions that we used to have maybe when we were younger, and and as we've grown older, and maybe some of it, you know, with work, either it's like maybe your work becomes your family or your babies if you don't have, you know, physical children. But as our lives are expanding in beautiful ways and we're kind of filling them with other things, we actually have less time to, you know, make as many connections as maybe what we did before we had families. And this is a way, you know, working out at home and having something online where I strongly encourage, I'd love that you still hold, you know, I think it's important that we have in-person relationships, but, you know, we're just providing something where we can be together in a way that's, I suppose, you know, more accessible. And for Ally and I, you know, we've really, up until recently, Ally was actually living fairly close, and we really loved our last few years of being together and having so much interaction. And so for us, it's a little bit selfish too. This is a way of us being more connected to each other. And I'm really excited about being more connected with many more of our friends, maybe not just in this platform, but a platform away from social media as well. So we decided that this is kind of like a fun way of, like, you know, if we were to have our own social circle, what would it look like? And this is kind of what we're creating. And we invite you to, if you're interested in being part of our of our little social circle, to feed into that. You know, this is not just a dictatorship of but we're so interested to hear about what you feel is important in relation to community and sisterhood and everything that we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that you know, through our private Facebook group, that we can have those conversations, ask questions, and it's a safe place. A really safe place that we're not going to be judging each other. Because I think for us women, there is a lot of questions out there around this movement topic, around this emotional well-being, around community. We want to touch on some of these topics. I mean, we've been talking what podcast we want to do. Oh my gosh, there's so many. But, you know, we're just talking before about feeling that inner beauty and how that actually affects us with our sexual relationships, with our husbands and things. And we want to explore these topics to unpack some of them and have a safe space for you guys to ask questions, because I know for me that it definitely has been a journey, especially if you had some unhealthy experiences as a young person. You just don't get over those, even though you might squash these things down. I don't know. I think sometimes you can have that amnesia, is that the right one, kind of, with some of the experiences, and then they come back later in life when you're actually like, man, I have to deal with some of these things, and how am I going to process this? And that's what we find the beauty of sometimes this movement in Pilates, having to be in touch with your pelvic floor and things like that. It can actually stir up some of these things that might have been traumatic for you as a young person. Yeah. And then you're like, oh my gosh, why is this all coming up? It's actually because you're starting to connect in with those places where you've actually shut down from. So we really want to help women get breakthrough in areas. And Sara and I are still very much on a journey. I think all of us on a journey. I don't think we ever make it to that pinnacle where we think we're going to make it.
I think that's such a good point to make, because I think that when we start off, we think that there's this magical kind of time that you get to healing and that you should be. And there's a lot of people out there who project that they've gotten to that place, but they're not communicating that it's something, once you get to a place where you can regulate and you feel good in yourself, it is actually a journey. You still have to work at it. And it's like being a parent, right? Like, when you get to that place, we get better at parenting ourselves, because a lot of these unmet needs that we're searching for in regards to our healing is needs that weren't met as, a child, and that's, nothing to necessarily
I think
negative.
All of us have it.
Because we're all, as a parent here, I'm going to be like, because I'm such a different person to both of my children, there's bound to be needs that I just don't have the skills to meet as fully as they need.
I totally agree with that. Oh my goodness. I often think sometimes in my parenting with my kids, I'm like, they're going to have some inner healing later for that. I'm like, okay, like I'm like, oh my poor child. As much as the parents, we have the good intentions, but once again, we only pull out of our toolkit what we have. And so for me, I'm trying to constantly grow my toolkit and get that, become more self-aware, like, hey, I'm actually pulling out some old tools that my parents pulled, and I didn't actually like that, but I'm using the same tool. Like, why am I doing that? And I think often sometimes parenting is tough. I mean, we're going to probably be touching that topic a lot because I feel like that's where a lot of our audience is going to be.
Parents, and it does take up a lot of our life.
And once again, I just really feel it's hard with social media. I don't know about you guys, but especially like sometimes when the school holidays hit and I see, I mean, this is what we want our community to be. We want to be vulnerable with each other. I see all these parents doing these amazing things with their kids because that's what they're snapping on socials. And I start getting the parent guilt. It's like, I struggle to get out of the house with my 5 kids. It takes such a big effort.
I have too, and I still,
And you see these, but once again, you're only seeing a little snippet of their lives. You've got no idea, and we can't compare each other. And I feel like in this really technology, I mean, we're using technology, and I think technology is a beautiful thing that we can use for good. And I think especially even social media, we can actually turn that puppy around and start using our influence for good. And I really encourage you to share your stories as well.
And also too, and when we say influence, it's like us as a collective, because Ally and I are very big on this part, is that we are not influencers. We are not influencing any, we are sisters with you, which means that we walk with you. We are not over anyone. We're not trying to project any of our own beliefs on anyone. It's like we want to be, providing us the support like a sister would, as an equal, and we're coming in and we're working on this together. So I feel like, there's room here for us to kind of also push back a bit on this influencer culture as well.
Yeah, totally. I think our biggest thing is we want to help. We're helping each other. Like Sarah and I have these conversations because we're trying to help each other grow in strength on the inside and be the best version of ourselves. And I think for us, we just want you guys to be the best version of you. And we want to cheerlead you on, and we want to encourage you to be cheerleaders for others, because we're not here to compare. We're not here to judge each other. We're here to actually support each other. And through that supporting of each other and that non-judgmental, you'll actually find that flows on in your life, and it flows on in your parenting, it flows on your relationships, but it actually flows on in your own fitness journey and practice when you're feeling that support. You're feeling connected into something bigger than yourself. Like, that's huge. This is actually a movement to equip women in their daily lives. And that's actually going to impact the generations to come. So what you're doing with your Pilates is not just doing Pilates. It's actually, I'm actually taking this time for me. I am actually doing some work on myself, doing the inner work. And through that, I'm actually going to affect the generation coming behind me. And that's going to flow on. So once again, there's such a bigger picture than just like, I want to get skinny. Like, that's not what we're here for. And yes, that might be a byproduct that, once again, to me, I think skinny is it's not a good word. I like to think about feeling strong, I love feeling that tonedness in my body. I like feeling like everything's actually holding together with muscles. And skinny for me,
balance of tone. It's taking. We want to take unhelpful tension. Which is usually an unbalanced tension. And when I say unbalanced, is that we're accessing, tension in one area, but we're not accessing tension or support in other areas of our body. So we want to balance the tensions we have, so then it doesn't feel dense, it doesn't feel like, when we're accessing only one area of tension, that's when we get the tight muscles, the pain, the injury, all of that dysfunctional pathology. And you touched on a really good point about the whole overall using Pilates as a movement for something bigger than us. And we're doing that in like how Pilates works is that we're conditioning our nervous systems to become better responders, when we, and not just in physical sense, but better responders in our emotions, better responses in our mental space, better responders in how we feel spiritually supported. So, there's something really powerful, and this is why we've been so drawn and we're so passionate about Pilates, is because that it actually has been a really helpful tool in those areas for both Ally and I, and we've managed to use it in a way for us, it's actually brought us together in many areas of our life, because it's been such a powerful moving metaphor for so many other areas, so it parallels with so many other areas in our life. And we're just I'm so excited to bring this all to you and do this together as sisters. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's beautiful what you're saying. I think it's so true. It's amazing how something that we set out just to do exercise actually is just so much bigger and has evolved into so many conversations and so much love. And it definitely has changed my life over the last couple of years. I feel like it's really slowing me down and really grounded me, which has been super helpful, because once again, you talk about relationships. I think I was just, everything was quite
stability, right? When you feel stable in your body.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. Well, you'll notice that there's a little lag here, so I'm not catching the end of your conversation very well.
I think my internet thing keeps coming up saying internet connection poor, so I'm not sure what's happening with the internet here. It happened the other day too, but hopefully it's all coming across okay for everyone else, so you guys can understand us, because we're females. You guys might be able to, hopefully you're tracking with our fast conversation. I think males might find this hard because we're like. But you can tell that we love this, and we just really, but we want this podcast, we want to touch on topics that you want to hear from. And we're definitely got something funny going with your sound, Sarah. But we want you guys, and we're definitely not saying we're the experts in this. We're just happy to unpack things. We're happy to have a conversation, but we want you guys to feel involved in those conversations too. So if you've got any questions after we do a podcast, you're like, hey, can you unpack
if you're
something?
An expert, I'm inserting here. Also, I'm sure that when we say sisters as well, I acknowledge that there's many beautiful sisters out there with amazing expertise, and we want you to be part of these conversations. So if we're talking about something that you feel like is your magic, your your mojo, it spins your wheels, and you've got some life background, sorry, my ducks are quacking in the background. You've got some experience or, actual credentials, expertise in this area. We invite you to connect with us. We'd love to have a conversation with you. We want to explore these areas. I love rabbit holes. So and
I think that's what the Facebook community page will be about, is that let's explore some of these topics a bit deeper. If you've got questions, we can unpack that. And just remember, it's all just about having that love and care for one another. And any question is not a silly question. I think, especially with my kids, I'm like, you can ask any question. Nothing is a silly question. We love questions. Questions are good for us, because that's how we're going to grow, is through questions. And it's okay if you can't make a mistake if you've got a question. It is totally fine. But we do really want this to be a comfortable place.
With body, because we're doing a physical, somatic, it's body-based movement. We won't just have Pilates on this platform. There'll be other things that are relevant to there. We want to bring in, some functional movement and just related conversations, because we are working with the body. But because we are working with the body and everybody's different, everybody's body responds differently. It's important that if there is anything that you are doing that you're actually feeling in your body and it doesn't feel good to you, that's definitely an area we want people to speak up about, and we can talk more.
Someone else is probably feeling it too and too scared to say. Quite often, sometimes you might have to be a voice for someone else. So don't feel like, oh, I don't want to bring that up. be like, okay, someone else might actually probably be wondering the same question as me, and I'm going to be the one that's going to ask it. And that's brave of you. And I think we need to be a bit more braver about some of these things. And this is a safe place. And I want to encourage you all to know that this is a safe place. We're not going to condemn you for anything. And we're really proud of you for asking questions, because that's just showing that you're willing to step out and actually take up that mantle in your own life to be that powerful woman that you are. Because each and every one of us has a unique, I hear Sarah say a unique superpower, and someone else actually is needing that superpower from you. And you'll see Sarah and I, we've learned over these last couple of years that we are both very different, and we have a unique superpower, and we're actually learning now how to draw. Instead of compete, we're learning to draw from those superpowers that each of us have to come together and actually make something really beautiful for every single one of you. Because I feel like Sarah's just like this world of knowledge, and she's so passionate about things. I think you are going to really learn so much from her. And so I'm really excited for this journey. And I knew
you guys
that
could probably pick up what Ally's, best at. She's a beautiful communicator, and she's such an uplifter. Just a gorgeous soul, and I'm just so I just love
hopefully Alex, when you guys connect with us through here, you'll feel the difference in the workout. You'll be able to connect with us more on the workouts, getting to know us through this podcast. And that's what we really wanted. We didn't want to just be doing the workouts and you not actually knowing who Sara and Ally are, because I think that's actually makes such a huge difference for me. When I feel connected to the person doing the workout, I actually enjoy the workout so much more.
And just a quick I will go, this is a little bit about my journey, but I won't go into my full journey here. But as someone, so I've done a lot of work in regards to rehab. So that's sort of like, I'm in kind of in my happy place, working with that and problem shooting, any kind of dysfunction that you might be experiencing in your body. But from that, a lot of that knowledge, it's not just from an academic place. I have had a lot of injuries, a lot of debilitating injuries throughout my life. I had a diving accident, which I didn't tell my family about, when I was about 13, because I was doing something I shouldn't be. So I was a sneaky teenager. I was actually skipping school, hanging out with some very dodgy people, and I went for, was swimming at the river, and I actually dove into this very shallow river, and I hurt my back, and I actually didn't really associate it at the time. I had debilitating spasms that I would get in my back that would actually have me in fetal on the ground screaming for periods of time, even time off school, because my back was so sore I couldn't move. I hid this quite well growing up, but I didn't get seen to. So a part of I've got with my posture, I've actually got a very tight lower back, and a lot of that's got to do with that, probably undiagnosed damage, but I have managed to work out how to, I don't actually get any pain now. I used to get spasms, and that's another kind of story, because I found that there was a pattern that I was experiencing in my outer world that reflect how I was feeling in my inner world, and would actually almost be a car alarm and set that off. I also had ankle injuries. I had this ankle injury that damaged the top of my ligaments of my foot when I was younger, still at high school, playing of all things rugby, and I actually had a limp for about 3 years, and I redid my ankle another 3 times, to the extent that I actually couldn't walk for the good part of a decade without pain. So I've had quite a few things. I also fell off the top floor of a double-decker bus in London on my shoulder, and experienced quite a lot of shoulder and neck pain for a good portion of my life too. So I've had quite a few injuries. So I speak from experience, and kind of what worked for me how could I get out of that chronic pain cycle? So that's kind of where I've come. So it's not just about what you know, it's like, it's what you've experienced as well. So I really value, even though I do have a lot of credentials, like Ally actually has a lot of experience, moving her body, and I really value that in her journey. She's a very committed mover, and she's got it fairly sorted in many, many ways. And I also acknowledge that in, you guys listening, or watching, that you've all got your own journeys, and you've experienced with your movement. And it pays to look back at that and take note of any kind of reoccurring themes in there, because when you actually identify some reoccurring themes, you can kind of like zoom out a little bit better and start to kind of problem solve for yourself. So here we're building a community. We are looking to support each other, but we're also looking to find ways that not just, support ourselves. Like this is finding things that are good for you, good for me, good for you, and good for us as a whole. So we're looking at trying to align like where we are as an individual in the great, in the greater scheme of things as well. Does that kind of
that's beautiful.
Makes sense? Yeah,
totally. I think that's the main thing, is just coming together here doing the Pilates, is just equipping ourselves. And I think most people are led to Pilates because of pain and injuries. Yeah. And they say most Pilates instructors have had a lot of injuries, and that's what's led us to Pilates, because it works. It does. It just truly is a beautiful way to move your body. Everyone's body shape's going to look different. You don't have to look how we look like. We're not trying to make shapes with our body. We're trying to move our body in a way that's pain-free, and that's setting us up to feel strong. Because who knows, with good posture, actually.
Shapes, you can make, making shapes is fun, but we're not trying to look like a particular shape. I think that's what Ally is trying to say.
Yeah. I think I don't want people to feel put off because that they feel like their body doesn't, you can feel frumpy in movements. And some movements you're like, how does a person do that? I look awful. and they look fabulous in that. And I think that's not what we want here. We want you to feel comfortable and always take modifications. I've always got like a little tub full of things that make me feel comfortable in movement. It might be a bolster, it might be a yoga block, it might be a TheraBand, and there's definitely some movements for me. I feel like I need a little bit more support. So it's good to we want to teach you a toolkit. I think Sarah's going to have some beautiful programs that's going to teach you to have your own little toolkit, that when you come into another workout, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing or what Sarah's doing. You can be like, okay, I know modification that feels good for my body, and I know how to incorporate that. And so that's how we want to really empower women, that you don't have to always mimic what we're doing, but increase a little toolkit for you to be able to, because honestly, all the movements that I do in some of my workouts are not going to suit every single body. Like that's just how it is, because everybody's so different. Something might feel a little painful for you, and I don't want you to feel like you have to throw the whole thing out. We want to equip you to actually take on some responsibility in your own movement and how your body's feeling, and add in those little modifications that you've learned along the journey.
Yeah, and you might find that some of my stuff's too slow, because I like to take my time and feel it in. And but there's times, Ellie and I were just having this conversation before we jumped on and recorded about, it's nice to actually break away from our the main way that we do our Pilates, or like, the default, and just mix it up and do something different. I quite often now, because I've done a lot of the work with the rehab, I've now getting back into more sort of high intensity HIIT workouts, and I often do a couple of HIIT workouts a week in conjunction with my Pilates. So we're going to be mixing up and throwing some extra in there. But as Ally said, that there is modifications and exercises that she does that might not work or might feel like they're too challenging for your body. Mine might be too easy, right? Go and do one of Ally's workouts. It's going to be different. Both of them are, just as good as each other. It's just what you feel like. Some days you might feel like, I just don't have that kind of high energy going on. I might want to do something slower. I might want to do like a stretching thing, one of the lower kind of things. Or maybe I just go back to the foundations.
You might have had a rough night's sleep. You might have a heavy period. Come on, ladies, you know how we feel like when that's happening. And I just want to
away with the kids by yourself for the weekend. And I just want
to say too, like, I think for so long I disregarded the slow movement because I'm like, that's not going to give me the results. It needs to be up here. I need to be sweating. Otherwise it's not worth it. And I've really moved away from that mindset over the last couple of years and I've found so much benefit. And once again, mixing it up, the days that I need to take it slow is the days I actually improve my form. I get into my body a little bit more. I'm actually more aware, and you actually are still engaging your body. You're still getting the benefits of Pilates. Like, don't underestimate slow moving to be not doing anything, because it actually is harder sometimes moving slowly. Because I have the tendency, I've had to slow myself down because I'd be like, and switch. And then actually doing it slower actually takes a lot more control, a lot more muscle stabilization. So I just want to really encourage you to definitely play around with your workouts, mix things up, because the body will just respond how you always make it respond. So slowing things down is actually sometimes going to be the biggest benefit to you. And then maybe a couple of days later, you jump into a high intensity workout, and then the next day you take it back down. I just want to say that it actually is so healthy for your body not to be doing the same repetitive thing every day. So that's why we want to give you a really good variety of different workouts to do to make sure that you're actually giving the body rest, you're doing recovery, you're doing mobilization, and you're still getting that toning in, you're still getting that cardio in, and it's really a whole holistic approach to exercise. But mainly we want to focus on that mindset, because I think more we can focus on that mindset, more you're going to have those benefits in your life that you're looking for. So take this time of your exercising, it's like, okay, I'm doing that, but I'm also working on my mindset at the same time.
Yeah, and we can just do that together. That's the beauty of it, because we can just, make it easy. We just set aside the time for ourselves, and we're actually moving our body, but we're also utilizing it to work on how, to check in with our mindset, to check in with our emotions, to check on how we're kind of just generally feeling supported and what we're really needing, not just in our workout, we're responding to what we need in our workout, but we're also responding and taking note of, like, what are the other things that I need today?
Totally.
Yay.
So good. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We really enjoy these conversations, and we always say we have a lot of fun and we want to have fun with you and make your workouts fun. I really encourage you too, like, you can put on some fun music while you do our workouts. Like, you can have some fun while you're doing this. It doesn't have to be a drag. And I always say, half the hard thing is actually pressing play and getting and doing it. But once you do that and you get into it, I don't think I've ever said to myself after workout, like, man, I wish I didn't do that. It's not something you generally say. I would just say, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I'm really proud of myself for doing that. Now I feel I can go and give out for the rest of the day. And that's often, as females, what we're doing. We're going out and giving out for the rest of the day. So let's start the day with filling that tank and getting that workout in and just feeling really good about ourselves. That's the main thing. And we just want to help you along that journey. So thank you so much for listening to us today. And we're hoping that you come back. Make sure that, once again, do it with another friend. Do it with your sister, a friend, your mum. I just encourage you to do this with your community. Encourage some other women that need some movement in their life. And you can be that encouragement for them and say, hey, this is a great place to start. And here's my son jumping on his little quad in the garage. I love about Pilates that you can start this journey at any stage where you're at. There's going to be something for you, and you can actually feel the benefits from it. And you're going to say goodbye. He likes coming into our podcast too. This is Zeke.
Yeah. Hi, Zeke.
My little monkey pants. Yeah. Say bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. We love you. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much. We can't wait to hear you again. And make sure you connect with us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want to know more about us, make sure you give us a message because we'd love to connect with you too and point you in the right direction. So thanks so much, guys.
Lots of love.
Mwah. Mwah.